This is Joe's Corner 76. We'll be discussing the human condition. In order to change it, we have to be involved. Here's some wisdom that maybe could help Canada today. We need to promote a free market economic system. Affirmative action to promote based on ethnic or racial basis is wrong, and it has not provided the promised progress it claimed would happen. Our country is now more divided and broken into various blocks based on religion, ethnic, and sexual orientation. We have lost and are not promoting the idea that we are all Canadians. It's okay to celebrate religious and customs from other lands, but we want any issues that cause the strife, whatever, wherever you came from, left there. We must not tolerate violence and intimidation against any group in Canada. What we have seen in the past year and a half and with the divisive politics of the last 10 years, it's time to examine our country and our attitude, morals and freedoms. If we don't have a moral framework, aren't we just left with self indulgence? By just satisfying our own wants and desires, aren't we going along the path of least resistance? These ideas will not sustain a free society because to be truly free, it takes sacrifice to keep freedom. If you believe that everyone should play by the same rules and be judged by the same standards, you would have been labeled a radical 60 years ago, liberal 30 years ago, and now racist today. Freedom has cost too much in blood and agony to be lost to cheap rhetoric. Let's not relinquish it to cheap rhetoric. What is threatening is the ease which what some people go from saying they don't like something to saying the government should forbid it. When you go down that route, don't expect freedom to survive very long. I urge you to look up Bills C-36 and C-10. They are an assault on freedom. It's pointless to try and talk fact and analysis for those who are enjoying a sense of moral superiority in their ignorance. We have lived through 10 years of this. Don't let it happen again. We need to look at socialism and the welfare state. The more people who are dependent on government handouts, the more votes the left can depend on for an ever expanding welfare state. Socialism has a record that is so glaringly obvious that only an intellectual could ignore it or evade it. Look at the failed socialist states, the USSR, North Korea, China, Cuba, Laos, Vietnam, just to name a few. Do we want this for Canada? The most fundamental fact about the ideas of the political left is that they do not work. Therefore, we should not be surprised to find the left concentrated in institutions where ideas don't have to work to survive. For example, DEI. It's funny that the big word on the left bash, their agenda is dependency. The welfare state is not really about the welfare of the mass. It's about the ego of the elite. I have never understood why it's greed to want to keep the money you earned, but not greed to want someone else's money. Should we really pay about half our income in taxes? The real goal should be to reduce spending rather than increasing taxes to cover ever rising spending. We have lived in this scenario in Canada for the past 10 years. Looks like it's going to continue. Let's look at bureaucracy. You'll never understand bureaucracies until you understand that they're for bureaucrats. Their plan of action is everything and outcomes are nothing. I can't imagine a more stupid, dangerous way of making decisions than by putting them in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Open-ended demands give authority for ever expanding bureaucracies with their expanding powers and budget. The public sector is now 40% larger than 2015. People with time on their hands will consistently waste the time of people who have work to do. Look at the amount of time we spend responding to useless bureaucratic government rules. What about the notion of placing blame for the actions on our ancestors? Isn't it self-destructive for any society where a baby is born today and automatically has pre-existing grievances against another baby born at the same time because of what their ancestors did? In Canada, we have real problems to deal with, and we should not waste time trying to rewrite history and make judgments based on today's standards. Don't destroy our heritage and the wonderful country we built. Explain the good, the bad, and the ugly. Show how we have moved on. It's irritating when people come to this country and preach hatred for others and demand tolerance for themselves. Who immigrate here came for the freedom and to get away from the trouble they had. It's great for anyone to honor their traditions, but leave the troubles where you came from or return there. The woke culture is supposed to be tolerant, but it's actually become intolerant. If you don't agree with the woke, they want to cancel you. We need to judge people on the content of their character, not the color of the skin. Education today is being neglected. We can tell this by the results tests that judge the competence level of students in reading and mathematical comprehension. It seems that ideological indoctrination is replacing the main focus of education, which is to produce students who are equipped to face the complex world they will face. What place does education and teaching have in pushing the ideas of sexual identity and telling their children not to tell their parents, telling parents they have no place in the education process and that teachers alone have the answer, being critical and negative about our history, culture, and institutions. The uncritical praise of the culture of foreign countries and domestic minorities without looking what they stand for. Some of these groups hate us and our way of life, well, taking advantage of the freedom we provide. It's not just the problem that the children can't read, but that they can't think. The purpose of education is to teach our children how to learn, think critically, and base their facts and opinions not on emotion but truth. It doesn't matter how smart you are unless you can stop and think. My hope is that everyone will look at Canada and think about our country, freedom, and our culture. We need a renewal of political and administrative leadership in 2025. That reflects the desires of people and who want to return our Canada to what it should be. You can follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram at Joe's Corner 76. You can hear me on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple at Joe's Corner 76. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at Joe's Corner 76.